They said you were brutal.
I can be.
I want you to hurt them.
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. As a film critic, I'm profoundly aware that sometimes my profession can cause me to be, well, what's the good word for this? Pretentious. And often when I'm analysing a movie, I'll say something about it and about the filmmaker's intentions and about the film and the way the film is working that then turns out to be, well, total nonsense. Here's a very specific example that I offer just to show that I'm very happy to be knocked off my perch. Lynne Ramsay's new film, You Would Never Really Hear, is currently in UK cinemas. It's wonderful. It's one of my favourite films of the year. I absolutely love it. I'm a huge Lynne Ramsay fan. I wrote a review of that movie in which I talked very specifically about some of the influences in it. There is a sequence in it in which Joaquin Phoenix is talking to his mother, who has been sitting at home watching Psycho. Now, clearly, nobody invokes Psycho by accident. Whole thing about Psycho, Norman Bates and his mother, now you have Joaquin Phoenix and his mother played by Judith Roberts. There's a long conversation about the fact that she's in the home watching Psycho, he's out, she got scared. Later on, there's a thing outside the bathroom when he makes the ee sound with the dagger. It's clearly a big, important part of the story. So I was doing an interview with Lynne Ramsay and I asked her about that and she said, yeah, it was just an ad-lib. I said, what do you mean it was an ad-lib? She said, yeah, it was an ad-lib. We just asked Judith Roberts what film she thought she might have watched at home. And she said, Psycho. And so, you know, Joaquin just kind of ad-libbed that bit with the knife. Yeah, it was an ad-lib. It worked quite well, but it was an ad-lib. And obviously we had to clear it, but it was an ad-lib. It was something that was on the spur of the moment. I said, okay, fine. Well, I'm willing to accept that. But what about the fact that your film very specifically contains a fragment of Shawshank Redemption? There is a sequence in which characters are in a motel room and on the television we hear the speech from Shawshank Redemption about Zihuatanejo, which includes that brilliant speech about the Mexicans say that the Pacific has no memory. Now, so much of You Were Never Really Here is about memory. It's about forgetting the past. It's about putting the past away, leaving it behind and moving on. So clearly, that speech was put there on purpose. And I know this for a fact because I interviewed Frank Darabont, who made Shawshank Redemption, a film in which Gilda, the movie, is used very specifically. There is a sequence in Shawshank Redemption in which Tim Robbins is in the projection booth, and we hear Tim Robbins' dialogue almost as if he's talking to the film. And Frank Darabont said to me, no film is ever in another film by accident. You do those things in the editing room, you watch the same thing over and over again, it's all put there very deliberately. So I said, well, clearly, that whole thing about Shawshank Redemption being in the film, that's clearly deliberate. And Lynne Ramsay said, no, that was an accident. That just happened to be on the TV. And I kind of liked the sound of it. And actually at first I didn't really realize what it was. But then I liked the sound of it and I found out that it was the Zihuatanejo. And that kind of made sense. So yeah, then we had to clear it. But it was kind of accidental. So I said, okay. So you're basically saying that the Psycho thing was accidental and the Zihuatanejo thing was accidental. I said, okay, there's one thing I am sure is not accidental. There is a whole thing about the relationship between Joaquin Phoenix's character and Judith Roberts' character. It's the mother-son thing. It is clearly a reference to The Exorcist, which I know you love, which has that very, very tender, intimate relationship between Jason Miller and Vasiliki Maliaros. That is clearly deliberate. And then Ramsay went and burst out laughing. It doesn't mean those things aren't there. It just means they weren't intended. Frankly, as a film critic, I'll carry on reading those things into films. Why? Because it makes me happy. Is it what the director intended? Clearly not. Does it matter? I don't think so. But I will fess up to them. I said they were intentional. They weren't. Hey, I'm just a film critic.